Note this story is from a male's perspective, but it will be narrated with a female voiceover. A couple years ago, I was trying to put up some floating shelves in my living room. The wall was empty inside and needed special screws, which always makes the job harder. I'd been putting it off for weeks, but finally decided to do it on a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was using a small screwdriver with a removable magnetic flat tip to try and carefully put the special screw into the wall. The screwdriver was from one of those basic IKEA toolkits that comes with a hammer, pliers, and a simple screwdriver with a bunch of removable magnetic tips that sit in a row for storage. You know the kind, cheap but surprisingly useful for small jobs around the house. Well, the hole got bigger than I expected, and the flat tip got stuck in the special screw and both fell into the wall. This was very clear as I pulled back the screwdriver and found it had no tip. The sound of metal falling inside the wall told me exactly what had happened. I remember cussing about it and grabbing a flashlight to see if I could get them out, but they were gone. I even thought about cutting a bigger hole in the wall, but quickly realized that would just make an even bigger problem to fix. I also very clearly saw the row of screwdriver tips with the one flat tip missing, and it really bothered me. That gap in the otherwise perfect line of tips was like a missing tooth, impossible to ignore. I even remember wondering if or where I could buy just one replacement. The whole toolkit is only about $10, so not a big loss, but annoyingly hard to replace single tips because of this. I spent a good hour online trying to find a matching tip, with no luck. 2 or 3 weeks later, my friend was over helping with a project in the garage. We were putting up hooks and shelves on the walls for tools. I was checking things before starting. I had the power drill, but also wanted to grab the IKEA toolkit from inside just to have extra stuff on hand. I hadn't touched it since the shelves problem. I took the IKEA toolkit from the drawer where it's kept and opened it because I wanted to see which tips I might need. Everything was in place. I look at the row of screwdriver tips, and the missing flat tip is there, like nothing had ever happened. I just stared at it, not believing what I was seeing. I even picked it up and looked at it closely, half expecting it to disappear in my hand. My friend who was helping me that day is Ojibwe, and when I told him what happened, he just nodded like he understood. He told me it's the little people. Ojibwe culture knows about little people who are very similar to the ones from Irish and Scandinavian stories. According to him, they're playful but ultimately helpful spirits who live in our world. He suggested I start leaving them gifts like hard candies and tiny shiny objects as a thank you, which I actually did. I felt a bit silly at first, but thought it couldn't hurt. For me, it definitely felt very strange, like something impossible had happened. To this day, it amazes me. I've thought about it 1,000 times, trying to find a logical explanation, but I can't. Did I imagine losing the tip? Did someone replace it without telling me? Or is there really something more mysterious going on? What do you all think?
At Mystery Bits, we daily post strange personal encounters from people around the world that defy logic and explanation. Please check out our channel for similar stories.